want to mask out your player, and you're going to want to mask out whatever you're going to be changing the colour of. So I've only masked out the jersey and the collar. Okay, so I've done a tutorial on how to mask out objects and subjects, and I'll put a little slider to that in the top right corner. Anyway, now what we're going to want to do is we want to change the colour, right? So first, let's focus on the main jersey concept. This is not going to be a perfect colour swap where I do all these small details to the letter and the number and the side parts. I'm just going to do a basic colour swap, so that way you can replicate that on the smaller details without me having to show you how to do everything. And I'll do the exact same for the collar. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to use an adjustment layer. So to go to adjustment layers, you go to this bottom right tools part, and you click on that little circle with a line through it, and you just go and you go to solid color right at the top. Okay, and for now we're just going to click OK, and then you're going to want to go to Safari and say you're doing a jersey swap for a specific team. You're going to use a website called Team Color Codes, teamcolorcodes.com, and then you just go to it, and there'll be a search bar where you can look up the team you want. And I've chosen the Memphis Grizzlies because in my opinion they have some of the best jerseys and colour schemes in the league. So I found their retro logo colours, and I'm going to use this teal and this orange. So all we're going to do is we're just going to copy this hex colour code, and we're just going to hit Control or Command C. Also you can see they have MLB, NBA, NASCAR, NCAA, NFL, NHL, soccer, football, which is lots of varieties, and they're verified in the way they do it. So go back into Photoshop, double click on your color fill layer on this little black box or whatever color it is, and hit Control or Command V in this little panel here, and you'll get that exact color. Hit OK, and we're going to drag that down by holding and dragging it just above our jersey layer. Okay, and we want to hold Alt, and we're going to want to clip it. Okay, and there you go. What we also want to do is we want to clip the jersey layer to no, we're not going to do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drag this mask from the jersey layer onto the color fill. So to do that, you're going to hold Alt or Option, and you're going to hold and you're going to drag that mask onto the color fill option. Now you've got that mask. So if you unclip that layer, okay, it now doesn't affect anything because it's got that mask, so that's only what shows. Now we're just going to drag that on top of the original player, and we're going to hide that jersey layer, and we're going to name this jersey color fill. Okay, now you're probably thinking this looks really bad, there's no texture, no detail at all. Well, to fix that, we're going to go to our blending mode, which is up here, and currently it should say normal. If you click on it, you get a bunch of options, and we're going to go right to the bottom where it says color, and you see how we get this color overlay to the specific color we want. Okay, so that's pretty good. And as I said, I'm not going to go over the specific details on how to do all these text parts. It's the exact same process. You just mask it out and put the same the color you want in it. But say this is too bright or too dark for the color you're going for. So to adjust that, we're going to go to our adjustment layers again. So click on that circle with a line through it, click on it, and you're going to go to levels, which is in the second box and second down. So click levels, and before we adjust anything in levels, firstly we're going to hold Alt on our jersey fill color fill mask, and we're going to just drag it into our levels again, like that. Okay, and now the levels will only affect what's in the mask. So if we double click on the levels layer, the levels here, you get your options for the levels. So we are going to clip this one as well, just to make sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to adjust these sliders to make it darker. This will desaturate it, or brighter. Okay, so I'm going to go with this, and I might go like that. Okay, and you can see the difference it makes. I'm also going to clip the jersey color fill, and to do that there's two ways of doing it. You can double right click on that layer and scroll down until you get create clipping mask, or you can hold Alt or Option between the layer you want to clip it to and just click and it clips it to that. Okay, so now that levels works even more, but I don't I prefer it not clipped like that. Okay, I also don't like the levels too much because it kind of takes away a bit of the texture, and I want a bit more texture, so I'm going to keep it like that. There we go. And now the color. The color, as I said, I'm going to make red. So we're going to go to our adjustment layers. We're going to go to solid color and just hit OK for now. We're going to go back into our browser, and we're just going to copy that other hex color code. Back into Photoshop, double click on our color fill, hit Ctrl or Command V, hit OK, and drag the mask. So hold Alt or Option again and just drag it onto that color fill. Okay, and again that looks really bad, so we're going to do, we're going to go to color in our blend mode like that, and we want to hide that and just bring that on top here, and we need to set the blend mode to color. Okay, and you can see here that it doesn't look very nice because that's not, that red overlay isn't very good. So we're going to call this color fill. But when you're doing it, you're going to make sure you do all the details properly. This is a brief tutorial to show you how to do everything, because then you can go into full detail in whatever you're working on. And you can see here I haven't messed around with the color. Again, brief tutorial. And then we're going to go to our layers to change the brightness and all that stuff. So levels, and again we're going to drag that mask onto it, and we're going to double click on our levels, and we're just going to see which one looks nicest. I like the brightness there. Okay, so there we go. So that's how you change the color of anything in Photoshop. Now, a lot of people will use hue and saturation to do this, and I advise against that. Not only me advising against that, but Adobe Photoshop themselves advising against that, and I'll show you why. So, first negative about using hue and saturation to change color is you don't get the exact specificity, that's the word, of color you want. So you see how with the color fill, you were able to choose the exact color you want, and you see how many colors there are with just this option. Whereas if you go to hue and saturation and you double click, you're limited to what the eye can see, right? It's just straight up not as good at choosing specific colors. And even if you hit colorize, even then, and even if you increase its saturation, it's just not as good. So that's the first bad point about this, right? Next point is say you're using hue and saturation, you hit colorize and you drag that mask onto it, and now we want this that color, right? So let's go and one sec, I'm just going to create a sample color of what I need, and we're going to fill it with this. Okay, so you have to create a sample color when you're using hue and saturation to make sure it matches, and that matches up pretty well using the hue and saturation. Okay, but now say it's too bright or too dark again. You have this lightness panel here, and if you increase the lightness, it completely takes away all your clarity in your texture in your color. And if you increase the darkness, it keeps the clarity and texture, but it kind of just decreases the exposure rather than the general brightness of the color. So if you hit that back to 0, so you only can really control the color and saturation in using hue and saturation, not the brightness. You can use levels if you want, but then I haven't really tried levels. So again, we're just going to drag that mask and double click, and yeah, I guess, but when you try to make it brighter, you lose clarity. I would still use the color because again, you have that exact specificity of color that you want. So again, this is not only coming from me, this is coming from Adobe Photoshop themselves. So now you've done your little swap. I'm just going to group these layers and call this color, right? And I'm going to group these 2 layers and call it jersey. Okay, I'm going to delete ours. Okay, and that's basically a really basic tutorial on how to change the color of anything in Adobe Photoshop. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe and turn those post notifications on. See you next time.